Welcome back to Endangered Species Spotlight. This week we are talking about the Abbeville Red Iris. This is the Abbeville Red Iris. It is a type of iris that is only natively found in one very specific spot in Louisiana in the United States. Specifically, it is found only in one section of a privately owned spot right outside of the city of Abbeville. Thus, it is incredibly rare and also now pretty strictly protected. Now, there are a few threats facing the Abbeville Red Iris, largely habitat loss due to the development and drainage of the native Louisiana swamps, especially the one that it is found in. The native swamps are drained for a couple reasons. One is to provide water for things like agriculture, others is to just provide space for things like towns and roads and developments. It's also threatened by things like tropical storms and hurricanes, which damage the area and introduce a lot of salt into the normally freshwater marshes and swamps, which makes it hard for these guys to live, and many other swamp plants and animals. And also, poaching and overcollection is a big issue because this is a very rare plant, so people want to see and also take it. However, there's also a lot of conservation efforts going on to save the Abbeville Red Iris. Apparently, this plant is kind of a point of local pride for the people who live in Abbeville, and so they are quite invested in actually conserving the species. And fortunately, that conservation seems to be going quite well, actually. A large part of the conservation is somewhat like captive breeding, where teams of volunteers and researchers collect seeds from the wild populations of the Abbeville Red Iris. They grow and cultivate them in controlled settings and then have since planted them in other local swamp areas around the town, specifically into Palmetto Island State Park, which has a very large swamp ecosystem similar to the one where it is found in the wild. The introduction of this iris there has multiple benefits, including that the public can actually see them for themselves because, again, the original native habitat is privately owned. It also has a larger area for this plant to flourish and kind of just spread out and multiply. And since it is a Louisiana native and there are multiple other very similar species, it is not an invasive species in the area and will not outcompete other native species because it is a native species. And there are multiple other very similar irises there, so there is no risk of harm to the ecosystem by introducing it into a new area.